Welcome, everyone. All you brave people in the back. Welcome to our May version of the AFO BMG meeting, the last one of another fiscal year. I can't believe we're reaching the end of another academic and fiscal year together. It's been an exciting and quick year as usual, and I have a couple of updates today, and we'll get on with our order of business. It's always a pleasure to be able to talk to you about audits and FSHA. So I will kick off our meeting with that today. So what I really want to bring to your attention, and we are again beginning, well, full swing into the FY18 audit cycle. So for FY18, you may be getting knocks on the door. There are a couple of things that are going on this year that may be a little bit different, although they did more of this last year. But we are continuing to have the auditors, the external auditors who come in to do our compliance audit and our financial audit and our grants audit kind of as a combined activity. Doing not only the financial audit, but also doing testing to make sure that the audit materials that you give to them are accurate and you can prove how you produced them and how they are not altered in any way by you. So some of that may cause you to have a visit from an auditor. The turnaround times are very short, as usual. The schedule is aggressive. I can't believe that the audit cycle lasts almost a full year. We will probably sign off on the audit in the late February, early March timeframe in 2019 and begin the 2019 audit in April. And that's the way it happened this year. But even that said, it seems like a very long time. There is much to be done, so the auditors ask for very aggressive turnaround times, and I appreciate your compliance with that to the extent that you're able. Based on the FY17 audit, I wanted to share some things with you that I'm sure they'll be taking a look at because, of course, the objective of auditors is to ask for what have you done better this year than last year based on our audit findings, so I wanted to have just a brief conversation about that today. The first thing, inadequate procedures over expense deferrals and other cutoff related issues. So we've done some things systematically on that. TEM was changed this year to record the proper dates so that happens much more automatically, but it is something as we end the fiscal year for you to pay very close attention to whether something needs to be deferred or what the cutoff dates are, and you'll hear a lot more about that in the body of the meeting coming up. Self-approved timesheets, that's a sticky one, and we continue to try and figure out ways to highlight. We are working with the HR folks to understand and create reports so that they can be more aggressive on follow-up around that. Sometimes it just happens by accident, and it's another issue that is something that I just ask you to watch out for. When you have someone who is acting as a proxy perhaps and they accidentally approve their own time. Inadequate control over reporting restricted accounts. This one is not pervasive, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. Inadequate procedures over maintenance of accounts payable master vendor file. We get this all the time. University Payables has been doing a tremendous amount of work. Some of this relates to the number of duplicates that are there. We have to watch out for that. You know, the classic, I'm International Business Machines, or I'm IBM, or I'm I period, B period, M period. We do a lot of that assessment internally. The thing that I would ask for you to take a look at is be sure that you don't put a new vendor in there that already exists. So as you're interacting with vendors, do what you can to monitor whether or not they already exist in the vendor file, as well as TINs. This is a big deal for some people, and I know that it's difficult, especially, you know, we're dealing with human subjects and we're dealing with one-off kind of payments, and it seems like not a big deal to not get a TIN for somebody, but we get hit on that every time until, you know, it's just really important to have that information. So if University Payables kind of hammers you on that, they do it because the auditors catch us even if we have one. So a thing that we have done internally this year is to take a look at whether or not there are in fact exceptions For example, refunds are something that doesn't seem like you should have to have somebody's TIN for, because we are never going to be in that transaction, we are not going to be in a situation where there would be any tax liability for that person. But if that person ever does business with the university and they have a refund, then there's a file with no TIN, and we get hit on that one again. So to the extent you can, help us out with that. And not to say that there hasn't been tremendous improvement over the last couple of years. In fact, the auditors, even while they were giving us the finding last year, noted that it was in fact a much improved process. So we will continue to improve there. Inadequate controls over procurement card transactions and also over travel card transactions. This is, of course, the review of those transactions, keeping records, keeping receipts in your units, so that when an auditor does come, you can prove the receipt, can provide the receipts for them, those kind of activities. Again, we have a huge volume of that, but there's a lot of exposure, especially with the legislature on this one. We did not have a legislative audit commission hearing this year yet. Haven't heard from them on that, so I can't share that with you, but I'm sure it's coming. Contract and real property lease management. Usually this relates to a handful, and again, this is only a handful, but when it's a compliance audit, even one can be an audit finding. But there have been a handful of transactions where contracts are not properly signed, where lease agreements are not properly signed, where all the terms and conditions are not found that are contractual, that are required by state legislation. Those kind of issues catch a dozen or 2 dozen transactions every year, which is enough for us to receive an audit finding. And I mentioned last year, the President told the Legislative Audit Commission that our goal is to have 0 audit findings. So we're working on it. On the grant side, inadequate procedures for closing out federal projects. I think this is something that we continue to watch, something that I know that the grants folks are trying to manage very aggressively, but it showed up again this year on the audit. A couple of small ones, again, failure to submit exit counseling notification to students, inadequate documentation of approvals for payroll disbursements. So those are a few things to keep in mind. The FISHA process closes out in the March timeframe for us every year, so it's finishing just about as the audit picks up. And I just wanted to mention, it should not come as a surprise that there are some repeat comments here around FISHA, untimely submission of P-card and T-card transactions, inadequate monitoring of financial accounts, and that's really budget statement reconciliation, sort of the last bastion of defense for us in terms of watching to make sure that someone is not committing fraud. It's really very, very important to monitor those financial transactions. Non-compliance with office procedure documentation. This is really around, do you have a desk book? And if you have a desk book, a procedures manual in your office, are you following it? And often the auditors go beyond just looking at the OBFS policy and procedure manual or university policy and asking you, do you have a specific procedure documented in your unit? Lack of adherence to inventory equipment management guidelines. We're going to hear more about the great new biennial inventory system that's coming that should help with this. And that's the end of that particular part of my announcements. So, questions on any audit-related issues? Smile when the auditors come to talk to you. Okay. Another one, this one from University Accounting and Financial Reporting on the SOC 1, and I'm just going to read it to you. When departmental units contract with external service providers to perform financial transaction processing services or support transaction processing systems, the University of Illinois is responsible for ensuring such activities have adequate controls in place. This assurance typically is obtained from an annual specialized internal control assessment referred to as a Service Organization Control 1, the SOC 1 form. I'm sure many of you know and love it. The Office of the Auditor General also reviews these reports during the annual financial audit. Some examples of these services include credit card processing, banking and investing, point of sale systems, medical claim processing, work order tracking, and generation of related banner transactions. UAFR needs your help in identifying these external service providers. If your unit contracts with vendors to perform the types of services as described above, please send information to uas@uillinois.edu, and this will be in the notes from the meeting, and give your department contact name, vendor name, and an explanation of the service. Then if UAFR determines a SOC 1 audit report is needed, your unit is required to contact the vendor and request a copy of the most recent SOC 1 report. So again, this will be in your information packet after the meeting. You can access it there. An update on Duo. I was here, I don't know, several meetings ago to talk about the dual access application called Duo that the university has acquired and is deploying. At this point, I will say that Urbana is a little bit more aggressive about that than Chicago, but I wanted this group to continue to be aware that more and more of our applications are going to be under this dual authentication mechanism. So again, I got a lovely email that I will read to you to share with you information about what's happening currently. AITS and the Urbana campus are working on improving and extending the use of two-factor authentication with Duo. Currently, Duo is deployed in front of banner forms, Herfy, HR front end, Paris, and Nessie from off-campus. 74,000 users have enrolled, and 2,000 physical tokens have been registered by users. Despite some initial success, the vendor-delivered user interface is not intuitive, has 15 open accessibility issues, and is a source of high call volume for university service desks. During April, the Urbana campus invited all users to pre-enroll in Duo to see what the wider Duo 2FA experience looks like before the Urbana campus starts requiring Duo in October. This is, remember, Urbana only at this point. Chicago has not set any dates for requirements around this. At the Urbana campus, Duo 2FA will cover many services such as Office 365, Webmail, Illinois Compass, U of I Box, and other important offerings. So it's not clear yet, and I will keep you posted on those of you who use shared folders in Box, whether that's going to impact us or not at this point. Furthermore, AITS is implementing several improvements to redesign and develop in-house Duo authentication and management. The redesigned software will be intuitive and easy to use, pass accessibility, exhibit a more integrated look and feel, and support single sign-on to limit authentication to once per day for all applications. So I think this is a good thing, good information for those of us on campus. Once you come in the morning and authenticate to your computer, you should have to do that only once, and all those dual authentications will be passed through as you log into different applications. Finally, the Duo roadmap includes proactively campaigning to get everyone signed up for Duo, putting Duo in front of TEM, student direct deposit, and I will say that on the student direct deposit side, we are moving forward with that right now. The students have an option to opt in to sign up for Duo for direct deposit, because millions and millions of dollars flow through there every year. Student bank account information is there, and we felt that that was a particular vulnerability that we wanted to try and help students avoid exposure around. And other applications as needed and time permits. Opt-in for student direct deposit is scheduled to begin on May 31st. The full Duo roadmap appears below, so Urbana is going to require it in October. Stay tuned for more information about Chicago, but as you work with enterprise applications, more and more of them will be protected by dual authentication. Okay, that is that announcement. One final announcement that I just wanted to mention, and you'll hear more about this in the meeting from Amber Mons in a few minutes, but we are continuing to move forward with the Source to Pay project. We had focus groups in April to help provide input for requests for proposals that should be going out sometime this summer. And I wanted to bring to the attention of this group, there's been conversation about why source to pay now. We're beginning to hear conversation about ERP replacement, and does it make sense? Is the cart before the horse, and so on and so forth. I just wanted to share with you what I know on that today. This is all certainly very much emerging, but AITS has done an assessment and has presented to senior leadership the possibilities for ERP replacement. I believe in the short term that the recommendation is going to be do a more full-blown process assessment, similar to the one that was done for source to pay, and that is a 3 to 5 year sort of proposition. There are some things that we need to take care of in source to pay that are much more urgent than that. So we're hoping that with the source to pay initiative, we'll learn a lot of lessons about how to do it right and be able to do it even more right as we get to the broader ERP replacement. So that's really the thinking around the timing on those two very big initiatives. Any questions for me today? Oh, everything is running perfectly. That's good. All right, let's kick off our first agenda item, an overview of the new biennial inventory system. Jeff Weaver is going to come up, and I hear that Kevin Chan is going to lurk in the background in case there are any questions, but Jeff is going to tell you all about what's happening with biennial inventory.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Weaver, Director of Property Accounting, and in the back lurking is Kevin Chan from AITS, so if you give me any tough technical questions, I'm going to probably refer those to Kevin. But really wanted to get in front of you today, was recommended by our advisory group from the UIC University, who suggested we get out in front of you guys prior to implementation next year. So today I want to give you a quick overview of the project, talk about the current versus the future process, talk a little bit about some major features and the application benefits, and really talk about the rollout timeline both for training and for system access. So really just some quick notes about the project. We kicked off in May 2016 when we got resourced for development. Advisory groups were created at each university to walk through the business requirements as we were building a new system for this. We did have pilots go out and use the system from start to finish in April to do some system testing before we went live. We are live now in production. Right now it's being used at the UIUC campus for their certifications that are due in August. And at UIC, you guys will be using this next year. If you're due for biennial in 2019, you'll be using the new system next year. So just a few notes, keys to think about in 2018 to prepare for that. The system does include a web-based system as well as a mobile app. So the web-based system, there is absolutely no cost to units to use the web. But the web isn't going to be really where we have barcode and scanning technology. If you want to get out and use barcode scanners to scan your items, that's what the mobile application was developed for. The mobile application will also be no cost for the apps to units, but you will need to procure your own hardware if you wish to do that. And so the mobile apps will provide that barcode scanning technology. They also use the cameras on the tablets as well, so you don't even have to use a scanner if you don't want to. And they do have some, we have two versions, Android and iOS. So if you're a Surface Pro person, I apologize, but you're going to have to either choose Android or iOS. And when we get there, when your campus is on that cycle, we do want those really only loaded on university-owned devices. And again, we really are talking tablets. From the walkthrough of it, phones were just way too small to contain the information and to review that information. And so if you're going to buy a tablet, you're thinking of going that mobile app, we do have requirements in our training guide. It's an active hyperlink. I think you guys share the the PowerPoints, right? So that's an active hyperlink to our training guide, which does include the requirements for those tablets, which is really a matter of you got to be able to upgrade to a certain level of iOS or OS so that those are updated and secure on the network. Did want to give a shout out to our UIC advisory team members. I see many in the audience today and just want to thank them for their hard work working with us to create the app. So a little bit about current and future process. So current, if you finished in 2018, you know what you've always done is run your inventory list out of Eddy. Go into Eddy and get your list, and you guys have your own procedures historically at the unit level to do your physical observations, updates of items, etc. And then you guys would normally just provide our office with the signed paper forms confirming you've completed the certification, as well as then the units have been responsible to retain all of your work papers. So a few things about the future process. All units will have the option to use all the functionality within the Biennial Inventory app to verify and update items. Units will be required to certify online in the new system, will no longer accept the paper forms. And the new system will allow now comments to help you manage the process, as anything you want to share at the end of the process, as well as there's a place to upload any files that you want to keep in a repository so that you have those in future periods. You don't have to rely on that paper file and what happened to it. So what will BI do? It's really going to help the unit contact, conduct that physical inventory from the point of tracking each item, looking at the item status, doing the item updates, handling found items. In the new application, item updates can be pushed directly to Banner. You won't have to go back into FabWeb and re-push those updates in. As I noted, you will be certifying online, and as well as the system will provide results now, documented results, which you and your unit and your unit head will be able to see very clearly. So I get asked a lot, well, what about FabWeb? FabWeb is really unchanged. FabWeb's still going to be used for new acquisitions of equipment. You'll still be working out of the same FabWeb inbox. Updates to existing assets, disposals, interdepartmental transfers will all be processed exactly historically as they have in FabWeb. So FabWeb is really unchanged, and the Biennial Inventory app is really meant to do that physical inventory, update your records, and certify your inventory in that window. FabWeb reps and approver roles. These are the folks who do all that daily transactional work in FabWeb. Those roles will be unchanged, except that if you already have that role now, you will have read access only into the new Biennial Inventory system. So a little bit about the web app. Everything's done at the 6-digit org level. It's a little more granular than what we used to certify at just the 3-digit level. It's going to allow you to update the items directly into Banner. It's going to help track found and unfound items, help you generate transfer and disposal batch files, as well as complete the full inventory process from the start to certification. So a few of the application benefits. There's going to be a dashboard for reviewing your inventory progress. You're going to actually be loading your inventory items in BI, not Eddy. There's actually going to be built-in role assignment, which I'll talk about a little bit, as well as some really new great display search and filters for the inventory list, as well as some very nice updates and lookups as far as updating items. And of course, we did talk about we'll be certifying online. So just wanted to show some of these. I know it may not be the greatest format for viewing this morning, but I'll try to describe these as well just to give you a quick overview. This is a copy of the dashboard or the home status page. So this is where unit heads, unit contacts, and any other staff with that read-only access can see the progress and the results. And on here you'll see it's got unverified items, verified items, pending unfound items, so it's going to track these in real time throughout the process as people complete their verifications. And you can also communicate via notes and comments within the system through the dashboard as well. This is just a quick screenshot of the load list function in Biennial Inventory. Again, users will no longer need to go out to Eddy to run their inventory list. When you come into the system, it's going to know what permissions you have in the system, and it's going to pull up all those orgs for you to load. And the loading is really then the snapshot you're going to use throughout the cycle of what items you're trying to verify and certify. So we talked about built-in role assignments. This is going to allow unit contacts to assign unit specialists access to data in their org. So if you're a unit contact, you'll be able to assign as many unit specialists in your unit as you need to assign to complete your physical verification. Unit specialist is a new role also, and they will just have some limited capabilities. They'll be able to do the physical inventory, note the item status, and note the updates needed on the records, but the specialist won't be able to push those into Banner. It's going to be a process where the unit contact reviews those updates, and they're the ones responsible to push those into Banner. So we do have some nice search, display, and filters. Again, everything's going to be based on the 6-digit org. And really, I think the search functionality is going to be one of the nicer things. You can filter and search for data in the system. We tried to make it as flexible as possible so people can use it similar to the way their old processes worked. A lot of people have asked, can I do an inventory by room? The answer is absolutely yes. You just put your Banner location code in the search box. It's going to filter down to all the items that are in that room, and you can do your inventory by room. But you can also search by anything else: custodian, equipment manager, description, commodity, anything. So feedback has been very positive about this, and as well as some easy lookups for updating items. When we did the walkthrough of before we designed the system, we did get a lot of feedback about the difficulty in updating custodians and equipment managers, as well as location codes. So those now all have individual lookups with smart searches to help you get that information populated and into the system. You'll also be certifying online. And there's really going to be two ways to certify. If there are any units, and I'll say this now, there may not be a lot of you, but if you are a system that runs a shadow system and has already invested some money and effort into your inventory system, you can continue to use that, but you'll have to come into the system at the end and certify your information in the system and also provide documentation of your results, as well as file uploads of your results. So if you're in that situation, don't hesitate to call me. So a few other application features just wanted to mention is managing found items. This is a function that helps your unit to track those found items that aren't on your inventory list. And if you actually have a P tag that say you scan or you find, but it doesn't belong in your org, the system will pull the Banner information down for you to review that, so you can see if that item could be potentially disposed or belong to another unit, is why you're not seeing it in your active inventory. That information will be there to help you. There's also going to be the possibility to print P-tag labels. So you don't have to contact our office to get a replacement label if a label has fallen off that item. There's a functionality in the system to print those off on Avery labels on your own printer. And as well as the transfers and the disposal batch files, there'll be an avenue for all of your pending unfound items that you never found, that you can go in and create a batch upload file for those specific items that'll create the batch upload feeder file for you for FabWeb. And that's a lot of F's, I think. Did want to mention that our preliminary feedback from Urbana has been great. They really like the web version of the system. Not many people have used the mobile yet, so we're still waiting on results, but hopefully you guys will like it as much as they do. So to talk a little bit about the mobile app is really just a subset of the features of the web app, mainly used if you want to go for out in the field to verify items in real time, and again using the scanners and the barcodes. The mobile data will get synchronized to the web application automatically if you're on a wireless network. If you're doing an inventory on the mobile app and you're out of the wireless network, it'll cache it on the device. And when you come back into the university network, that information will flow out into the web app so you can see it there as well. As I said, the mobile app is free, but units are responsible for hardware. And if you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to give me a call or an email. So really wanted to talk about the rollout. I'm also happy to announce that the East Side 2018 is 100% certified from 2018. Give yourselves a hand. So really talking about our rollout, first use at UIC is going to be for you guys certifying in March of 2019. And if you're doing that, the system is going to be available for you to use as early as July or August this year. There's going to be instructor-led training scheduled here at UIC starting in August. Those will be on the registration page probably here in the next month, and when those get on the registration page, we will send out correspondence through OBFS News Center, and I will also forward that to folks who are FabWeb users and unit contacts so that those people see that correspondence that those training courses are open. Just a bit about training, the dates and who should attend. So again, if you're doing it in 2019, your unit contacts and any direct reports who are involved in the process should come to training. Again, so if you're doing 2020, you'll train in fall 2019. But if you're doing it on the west side and you're doing it in 2019 with your 2019 due date, we'll start those trainings in the fall of 2018, again in August. So be on the lookout for those communications, and please appreciate your support and encouragement to your unit contacts to go to training. The system is really designed with them being the running the system and using all the functionality, so they have a lot to learn in the new system. So I do highly encourage all those folks to get to training. Any questions for Caven? Yeah. The specialists? Yes. It can be a student as long as, and I think extra help as well, as long as they have a net ID. So it can't be an external somebody. They have to be at the university and have a net ID to be assigned. Good question. Is there another one? Nope.
Yeah, just from a registration standpoint for the training that's going to happen this fall during that August time frame, again, just emphasize who that's for.
Sure. Yeah. Excuse me. Unit contacts in general. If you don't know who your unit contact is, our office keeps a spreadsheet of all those people who you and your unit designate as your unit contact and your designated unit head. That's on our equipment management main page under Department Property Contacts. But really those unit contacts are going to be the key role in the system and really need to learn and understand how to use the full functionality of the system. So definitely those people should come to training, and anybody who else is going to be involved, they should bring along with them. One of the things interesting about training is we're actually doing it in production. So that's why people who are doing it in 2020 don't need to come next year because they won't have any access to the system yet. But if you're doing it in 2019, definitely have your unit contacts and the rest of their staff sign up for training. Thanks, Jason. All right, with that, thank you.
As part of the alignment activities, the Government Costing Office is an office that is staying and being a little bit reconstituted at the system level. I'm pleased to say that some additional resources have been supported for that office, and so I look forward to working with that group and to working with you on costing activities as we move forward to get a very great environment around that. And today Maureen Johnson is here to talk to you a little more about some training opportunities.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Maureen Johnson from the University Government Costing Office, and as Gloria was just saying, I just put a few bullets on the slide to kind of say who we are. So that we've always had a government costing office here in Chicago, but we were part of the Grants and Contracts Department. So generally, the director of the Grants and Contracts Department or one of those representatives would give our updates. But as of January 1st of this year, after the president's realignment, we now have a university-wide government costing office. So we have staff in Urbana and in Chicago, and we actually work on, we work for all three campuses, UIS, UIUC, and UIC. So currently we have one staff member in Chicago, that's me, and but we have hired 2 new staff members that will be starting in June, so we're very excited about that. And we are still part of, we're one of the system offices, so we're still part of OBFS. I just kind of wanted to share kind of what we do for people who may not know. We develop rates, various rates, and all of the rates that we develop are charged to sponsored awards. So we developed the federal facilities and administrative rate for all 3 of the universities. Actually, our current rate for Chicago is scheduled to expire on June 30th of this year. So we actually submitted a proposal on March 30th, and we are already in the audit process for our next F&A rate negotiation. And I'll give you a little update about that in a minute. We developed the fringe benefit rate. That's an annual process for us. And we get inquiries all the time from different business managers when you're preparing your proposal about what will the rate be for next year. So we develop that rate in July, and we try to communicate it by the beginning of August of each year. So the FY19 fringe benefit rates will be communicated around the 1st of August. We developed the tuition remission rate. Chicago is a little bit different. We've had the same rate for about 10 years now. It hasn't changed, but our office is responsible for calculating that rate. Once we calculate each of these rates and submit the proposal to the government, there's actually a federal audit that follows each of these submissions. And when we conclude the audit, we actually negotiate a final rate with the government, and those are the rates that you all charge to your sponsored awards. We have a state F&A reporting requirement now that's kind of new. We actually develop a state F&A rate, and we actually have a communication that will be coming out really soon about that. So look forward to that. That's still pretty new. And we develop service activity rates and training. So that's the one exciting item I want to talk to you guys about today, just more of an update. We recently, if you all saw the communication, we had a policy update and went out on Friday. We're very excited about that. It's in section 22 of the OBFS Policy and Procedure Manual, and I want to talk to you about some training activities that we have around that policy update, and encourage you all to please send your staff. So these are the updates. As I just said, we submitted a F&A proposal on March 30th of this year. We are in the audit process. The audit is a 2-step process, so there's a space audit that we do, and then there's a financial audit. Last year, our F&A proposal is based on FY17's financial and space data, so you all did a space survey for FY17. We in turn used that space survey data in our proposal. So the auditors will be coming out in June. They're in the process of selecting their samples, the rooms they want to see, the departments that they want to see, and as soon as they give us the final sample, we will reach out to each of your department gatekeepers and business managers and let you know that we'll be coming out to tour your space. This probably happens every 3-4 years, so some of you are experienced in this area. but we will try to have you all as prepared as possible before the auditors come. They will have copies of your space surveys that you submitted, as well as your floor plans. So if there's any, and I'll send those to you to let you know what we provided to them before we come out. If there's any changes, just please let us know so that we can just be prepared for their questions before they come. There's also an equipment audit that goes on at the same time as the space audit. So last year, we worked with Jeff Weaver's department, and we contacted a bunch of units and asked you all, or asked the department contacts if they could code their equipment to room if possible. The auditors will select various pieces of equipment that they'll want to see while we're out touring the space, and so we'll let you all know what those pieces of equipment are. They actually want to come physically look at them and check the P-tag numbers. So just so you know, we're asking that you all be prepared. If you have any questions, please call me, and I'll definitely be in contact. Once they finish up the space audit, they'll go into the financial audit. So some departments will be contacted about transactions. It just depends on what they're going to test. So I don't have an idea of exactly what they're testing yet, but as soon as I find out, I definitely will be in contact with your offices. As I said a minute ago, our F&A rate is scheduled to expire on June 30th of this year. We're actually, because the audit is not complete, we will be receiving a provisional rate for FY19. We're in the process of finalizing that rate now. So we've determined what the rate will be, and the university will sign off on that today, and the government will sign off on it sometime this week, and then we'll communicate that rate via OBFS News DDDH to you all so that you can start using that for your FY19 proposals. Updated and combined service and storeroom activity policy. So again, the communication went out regarding that on Friday. We're very excited. That policy is related to 3E fund types only that supplement, and so it's the storerooms and service activities. So, or anyone that actually charges their rate to sponsored awards. So we're asking that you ask your departmental business managers or anyone who manages a 3E service fund to take a look at this policy. It could potentially result in you needing to recompute your rates. The policy is not new, it's updated. So it's updated to the uniform guidance that came out in December of 2014. But UIC just hadn't updated the policy yet. So please, please, please have your departments review this. We've created training, so we have service activity training and resources available. We have instruction-led training, as well as we have a OBFS certification program, which I'm sure Amber will talk about a little bit, or I know she has over the last few months. But we have instructor-led training. We started it in April. We've been doing it weekly, and we'll do that through June. So we have one on Thursday of this week, and then we have one in June. And then we decided to, you know, kind of give it a break in June, the end of June and July, because we know that people are busy. So we'll start again in August. So they're listed here through December. The link is here to the registration page on the OBFS website. The link is also here for the web-based program. It's a self-based program. So once you register, you have 4 months to complete that training. If you decide to do the online training, it's 8 modules, but it's a lot of good information related to the policy. Our department, since we have new staff coming aboard, we plan to reach out to more service activity fund 3E funds and actually offer our services, actually ask to help you calculate rates, provide the tools. We have a lot of resources on the OBFS website under government costing, so we have templates if you don't have one to compute your rate. There's Webby reports to help you pull salary, expenditures, equipment depreciation. So there's a lot of good information out there on the OBFS website. So we ask that you please take a look. If you have any questions about the new service activity policy update, please contact our office and let us know. So with that, that's all the updates I have, unless you have questions for me. I love this group.
Okay, I'm not going to introduce her twice. Amber Mons is up next for both Source to Pay and the OBFS certification program to give you some updates on both of those initiatives.
Well, good afternoon, and I'm excited to be here to talk about both of these initiatives because I think they are ways that you can get involved and have an impact on things that impact you every day. So first I'm going to talk about the Source to Pay initiative, and I'm Amber Mons, the Director of Business Solutions and Support. A lot of my staff have been directly a part of this initiative, and for anyone that has not had a chance to be a part of this yet or have seen the communications go out and just are not sure if you want to be involved, there's more opportunities to be involved coming up soon. So this Source to Pay initiative is really everything that today envelops catalogs, purchase order functionality, contracting, as well as non-purchase order reimbursement type activity. So there's a lot of scope here that probably impacts all of you. So really in April, we were able to finalize the BPI improvement conversations that many of you were a part of and pull together an RFP draft that we have shopped around to everyone for their additional feedback and have gotten that refined. We hope to post that RFP later this summer and actually then start communicating as well what we can do to include anyone who would like to be a part of the vendor demonstrations and actually see the products that are out in the marketplace and see how well or how close we can get to the requirements that we've gathered from all of you. So when that is posted this summer, we'll also be communicating ways that you can be a part of evaluating those vendors, as well as additional opportunities for those that were part of the BPIs to help ensure that those vendors are being scored based on the requirements that were gathered. So watch for those communications to be going out through the OBFS news. If you are today signed up to get anything relative to purchasing, payables, contracting, you will see those communications go through. And if you're not sure, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm now going to shift focus and talk about the OBFS certification program. Maureen is right. There is a lot of exciting stuff happening here, including theirs. But there is also some updates being made to the inviting and onboarding, and we're hoping that can be offered again in the fall or maybe next spring. We hope to get that confirmed over the next several months and communicate that out more in the fall when these meetings start happening again. But as you can see, the last 5 or 6 certification programs relative to department card manager, journal voucher processing, business administrator program, time entry reporting, and student payments are all scheduled to be offered at some point this fall. So there's a lot of development going on, a lot of design. I know they're going out and talking to people relative to the data that they're collecting based on who performs those activities, and that these will prove to be a very exciting offering in the fall. So those will be communicated out broadly. But one thing I want to focus on today is really the business administrator certification program. This one has been talked about a lot, and there are potential for up to 30 courses. We will see what the final list of courses are. But the program goal is really to give a broader basis for understanding of all the business and financial duties that happen in the administration offices within the units, as well as within those offices that support those units. So this will really focus on those processes, policies, procedures, as well as resources that anyone in that role needs to be successful. The impact is not only to the college's units and departments, but also to OBFS staff and other supporting staff at administrative roles. So we're really focusing this role on the functions that people will be performing, not where they reside in the university structure. So this summer, We will be opening up the nomination period. Right now, we're working out the logistics with everyone who will be the instructors for those courses. So we're talking not only those people from university system offices that support business and administration, but also university offices. So we will have a lot of coordination with those offices to ensure that we can communicate well the dates and times. So if you do want to be a part of the program, you know exactly the commitment that you're making up front. So please watch the OBFS news announcements for updates as to when that nomination period opens this summer. And that will give you then a good 2 months in advance to know what your calendar will be like if you want to be a part of the program. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, please reach out to the certification program team. I'm sure these will go out with the notes for today's meeting. They have a website as well that can provide more information. Thank you.
So not that I'm competitive in any way or anything, but feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to have UIC have a full cohort in the Business Administrator Development Program. The current plan is to have the cohorts from each of the universities meet simultaneously via a video format. And then when there are university-specific things, I will get over that someday. When there are university-specific things to address processes that happen specific to a location, then we'll do breakout sessions to make that possible as well. But I'm very excited. 25 years in coming, I'm just so excited that we're actually going to launch in September. All the instructors have been more than cooperative and willing to come work with you and chat with you as we move through it. Kind of the idea is 3 sessions during some period of a day every month. So be groundbreaking and come join us so that you can give us feedback in this inaugural year and make it even better as we move forward. All right, next up, Don Smith is going to talk to us about Upb Training Initiatives going on.
Good afternoon. I've been giving you some updates as we've gone along throughout the past year, but I wanted to let you know where we're at now. So University Payroll and Benefits has developed this project of trying to address the training needs that you as a unit are facing when it comes to payroll transactions and the benefits issues that involve you. So what we are focusing on are the transactions, unit challenges, and employee needs. And in order to do that, we have developed some tracks, a curriculum, so that we can focus all of those different needs into their functional areas. And we are also seeking customer input throughout. We, even more than just going to you and asking, this is a collaborative project. As you saw with what Amber was talking about, some of this rolls into the certification program, and we have support through Business Solutions and support for project management as well as instructional design. So this is a pretty good sized undertaking, and we are involving lots of people in this so that we can develop the best products possible. So here are the learning tracks, the curricula. Several of these are in progress right now, and the newest one being time reporting. It is just starting in the research phase, as well as some of these others that we are continually adding to as we work through these particular topics. So I want to start off with the ones that are in process. Time reporting, we have completed some job aids and a course involving the time entry and approval security process, because we know that one of the biggest pain points that we have heard from is when people lose access or have trouble getting access to do their units' time approvals or some of the other security issues that are involved there. So we have set up these job aids and this course to help you navigate that process. And we are just now beginning the research phase for these other topics, and we'll have courses on these and resources available for an introduction to time reporting, best practices, so we can learn how to avoid adjustments, time entry troubleshooting, and department time entry, as well as web time entry. We've begun analyzing data on adjustments to find out why, what's going wrong with time reporting, because if it doesn't go right in time reporting, that's when it shows up as a payroll adjustment. So we're analyzing that. We're looking at who we're going to be speaking with and trying to involve the units that are doing very well so that we can identify best practices and provide helpful resources for you so that time entry can be a lot more successful than it has been. Payments to foreign nationals, we've completed courses and job aids and awards and prizes, expense reimbursements, and honoraria. And we are in progress with job aids and courses as needed for human subject payments, scholarships, fellowships, royalties, and independent contractors. So look to see new resources coming up frequently, and that is all housed on the Foreign National Payments resource page. I will show you a little bit about that later. Benefits fundamentals, we have also developed courses and job aids to help mostly with the supplemental retirement plans. There's a lot of information there that you can find out, as well as information for when you hire and onboard new employees, some of those important, crucial deadlines for getting their benefits set up so they don't get defaulted into the state plan, which isn't always what people want. So we have information out there. We hope you look at that so that you can help your employees as they come into the university. Inviting and onboarding foreign nationals. We have 4 different modules to this. This is a certification course, and it has already been implemented. We have had more than 50 individuals certified to date, and we hope for more to happen. In the upcoming year, we're going to be making some revisions based on changes to immigration policy and other things that are happening with the law that may be changing or might not be changing. We're kind of waiting to find out how everything is going to shake out on that. But there will be some revisions that come out with that. And if you have already been certified in that, we will certainly send you updated materials so that you can keep current. So we would like to ask you to join us as learning partners. You can help us by telling us what is good about these processes, what's not, how we can help you do them better. If you would like to help with that, you can contact OBFS Upb Training at uillinois.edu. And now I just want to show you very briefly where the Foreign National Payments resource page is. And I've marked where it's at on the OBFS homepage. So if you want to, I'm sure all of you have the homepage, the OBFS homepage in your favorites or bookmarked in some way because you have to go there so often. But if you are doing any transactions for foreign nationals, or you have staff that are doing transactions for foreign national non-resident aliens, we really want to encourage you to go to the Foreign National Payments resource page. If you click on either of these links, it's also under the resources section. You will find the page here. We have things that are rolled up in accordions so that you can easily walk through the steps for doing this, each different transaction type, as well as down below resources by payment type, where we have If you are looking at a specific type of payment and you already know about it and you want to find the resource you're looking for, you can find it easily right there. So I want to encourage everybody to develop that habit of going to this page so that you can be consistent in your transactions for non-resident aliens. So if you have any questions, I can answer those now, and if not, if it comes to you after the meeting, feel free to contact me. There's my phone number and email address, and I'd be willing to speak with you if you have anything to add. So any questions? All right, thank you for your time.
Okay, I mentioned before that the president would like us to have a clean slate with audit, oh, let me hit you in the face. Clean slate with audit findings. So John LaRoe is here to help us be perfect relative to all of those things accounting-wise.
Thank you, Gloria. My name is John LaRoe. I'm with University Accounting and Financial Reporting. And now that we're here in May, June and July is right around the corner, so I wanted to come up and just give a few tips to keep in mind with all the year-end opening and closing procedures that we have out there. Before we get into that, though, I first off want to thank you just for all the help that you've given us in the past year on the different audit requests that we've had. As Gloria was mentioning and alluding to, the external auditors are constantly asking for all kinds of audit support for different kinds of transactions they select, and we strongly rely on you for that accurate information and documentation that you give us. So I first off want to give a big thanks to you because we could not meet those audit request demands without your help, and we greatly appreciate it. And actually thank you in advance as well because those audit requests for the new year are already starting. So just a fair warning, you may be hearing from someone from our office at some point just for cash receipts testing, for example, or expenditures testing, or whatever it may be. So just thanks in advance too for all the new requests coming in for the new year. And you know, just as an FYI, a lot of the common audit issues that we see from year to year, a lot of them unfortunately don't change. Gloria touched on some of these, like not recording the accruals and deferrals properly. Other ones, such as the proper account code usage, or errors in physical inventory counts for those of you that may have inventory for resale. Those are common issues that do come